Thank you, Josh. And then while they're doing that, I'm going to pass out your binders to those of you who turned those in. And then we'll move on from there. So, welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I am Scott Wells. I'm the principal at West High, and this is Marcy Smith, our CRA at West High. And we asked to have just a couple of minutes at your faculty meeting for a lot of reasons. First of all, congratulations on your amazing test scores.
Congrats, guys. That's awesome.
So proud of you, and that's why we're here. Actually, we're talking to you about West Side scores, and just wanted to give you some good news about West High. We recently got some news back that this year's graduating class of 2015, had the highest ACT scores, not only of West High's history, but of the entire district's history. So we're happy. Well, we're happy about that, obviously. But that's not why we're here to brag. We're kind of here to brag.
A little bit.
Okay. We realize, though, that it truly takes a village to have outstanding high school students. So we're actually making a point of visiting every elementary and middle feeder school to thank you for those scores. Because you teach them how to read, you teach them how to do math, how to think critically, how to experiment in science and so forth. And we just kind of take it from there. But you lay that significant foundation that we're not quite sure how to do. So we wanted to thank you, praise you. On the West Side, we are a true team. And we just wanted to give you some accolades. Marcy, what did I leave out there?
Not much. Just to give you an idea of ACT-wise, the ACT score in the state was 20.0, and our graduating seniors last year had a 22.1. So 2.1 points above state average for ACT is incredibly dramatic. And like you said, this is our third year in a row distinguished. And what we know as a school at West High is we can't be distinguished if our kids don't come to us knowing what you guys have done an amazing job of teaching them. So truly, we want to thank you. We cannot be successful without you guys.
And we have something to present to Sarah. Okay. I have to give Marcy credit. She is the graphic artist. This is not me at all.
You did make that.
She did make it, and I went to you. We'll pass it around, but it's actually personalized with your school. But it says, "This is proudly presented to Nicholasville Elementary School for your continuous dedication to all of our West Side students. Without you, we could not be successful." So we want to you just display this as a token of gratitude from us for just the whole West Side. The way we do things on the West Side is unique and it's special. We take what we do very seriously. So thank you all for that.
Yeah, thank you guys for coming.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And also, I believe you guys saw where some other people may have gotten some t-shirts, and that's a different thing, but we wanted you to know that your students will all be getting one of these t-shirts. What day are we coming?
Friday.
Mr. Mitchell's coming. I'll be here Friday too. I think you're having assembly Friday morning. Right about okay. So we're going to be here to present those to your student body on Friday morning.
And then I think they get in. The kids can get into the games free if they're wearing their T-shirts. Yeah. So the East ones have been a huge hit. So we're very excited to get out.
Yes. So now you get the awesome
And ours
ones.
are cuter.
Much
Plus you
cooler.
can read some.
Save the
That's all
best
we
for
got to do.
last, you know, kind of thing. Yeah.
So-
So anyway, thank you guys.
That
Thank you.
picture of
Yes.
I'm gonna tweet this out.
Yes, of course.
Thank you all.
All right.
Thanks, guys. We appreciate you.
And congratulations.
You too.
You too.
Okay, Joshua Wilson is in that 2016 class.
That works.
That's one distinguished that we can claim.
We'll take it. We'll take it. Thank you all.
Rita. Okay. Aflac is supposed to be here. They're not, so we're gonna not delay. So if they get here, we'll just pause and go ahead and do that. A couple of things. Your binders. We've changed the labels on your binders. Myra, Teresa. Myra, thank you. Where? Oh, back behind the pole. So we've changed the label on these and added a bunch of stuff for PGES that we're going to be going over at our different meetings. So if you would start bringing this binder with you to faculty meetings, and I'll remind you if you don't have to remember to do that. But we want to try to build our knowledge a little bit this year in regards to PGES, just so you feel a little bit better about, Cindy, will you hand this to Daniel? Yep. About what you're being scored on when we're evaluating. So I've handed out, I think, Or somebody helped me.
I did.
Who did?
I did the other card.
Thank you. I've handed out the ones that we have, except Kimberdine, I have yours still. Here, okay, so if you didn't get one back, I have the extra papers. Wow. Cindy, there's a big, huge pole right there. Really going around it.
I know.
Okay, so if you didn't get a binder, I have extra sets of the papers, and that we just need to get some more binders. Or if I know a couple people told me today I found mine, so we can get your label covered up and get it in your binder. So I'll send something out, or Heather will, in the next couple of days, just checking to see who still needs a binder, and then we'll make sure that we get you the materials. But what you have, if you will open up to the very front, if you have a binder, you want to borrow Maggie's for a minute? Sure, that's Kayla's. If you open up, you have a new yellow piece of paper that says PGES Resources, Domains, and Indicators. Behind that, and you just, in waiting to see kind of what we're going to do with this, these are just resources that you can use before your observations. So the first couple of pages are domain snapshots, and they just provide a little bit of information on each of the 4 domains. It's just a snapshot. It just gives you a little overview of what is in that domain. Behind those pages, the pages that look like this are a little bit bigger snapshots. So they give you just some more information, possible examples, sample evidence. It's a lot of the same stuff that is in the big long book, but it's just organized in a little bit easier format, I feel like. So if you wanted to pull this out and take just this home with you when you're planning your lesson, or if you just want a quick reference to get to a certain domain for your mini lessons, we're going to ask you just to target one area this year. And so you'll be able to just pull one of these as the one that you really want to focus on. So what we're going to do is at each of the faculty meetings from here on out, we're going to just take one domain and just kind of break it down a little bit, have you read over it, talk about it for maybe 10 or 15 minutes, just to kind of keep your knowledge growing and keep you kind of up current in what kinds of things we're looking for when we're observing you. So that's what this is. I also just wanted to point out what else is in that binder, because it's been, over a year now since we looked at this, and there's some stuff in the binder that is things that we're actually still doing or kind of focusing on even more now than we were the year before. The hot pink page is a vocabulary section. Special ed teachers, I thought there's some really helpful stuff that might help with our gap goal of vocabulary instruction for this year. And then others of you, vocabulary is one of those tried and true best practice strategies that has really high yield results. So if you are looking for something to do in your classroom to kind of spruce up your vocabulary instruction a little bit, there's several ideas in here. The orange tab is differentiation. I know a few of you mentioned things about differentiation for your PGP goal. So if you are looking for differentiation strategies, there's all kinds of stuff in that orange section. And then the green is formative assessment. Also, I can't remember if I did 3rd grade or just 4th and 5th, but you should also have a resource book in the back if you're intermediate that has some stuff on ERQs and flashbacks and on-demand writing. Okay, this is the very back part. If you don't have that and that's something that you need, just let me know. Also, I noticed, like Michelle, when we were putting yours in, I noticed your vocabulary is 4th grade. So if you want us to copy for you the right grade level, just shoot us an email or borrow theirs, yeah. But those vocabulary lists that are in there, I know some of you weren't here summer before last when we did those, and then some of you have probably just completely forgotten that was in there. Totally understand that. But I did just want to remind you that those Common Core vocabulary lists are in there, so that those have some really good, it's just a really good resource for you. Okay, one other thing and I sent this to Carrie and didn't think we were going to have it today, but she's so speedy that she went ahead and got this back for us. We're going to make you a page for the next meeting that says engagement, like one of those bright pages, because that's the other thing that we're kind of looking at this year. And we have the resources from Heather from the last meeting, and then I'm getting ready to give you a resource. So just stick this in the very back for right now. And then we will add, we'll get this part fixed up at our next meeting. But this is a resource that I happened to come across a few days ago, and I felt like it was a good enough resource that I wanted you to have the whole thing. What it does is it breaks down, it talks about active engagement for each of the different levels of instruction. It's not broken down by the gradual release stages, but they're very similar. It just has, it starts in the first part, setting the stage, and then explaining what to do, modeling, guided practice, independent practice, and closure. And what it does is it lists activities, engaging activities, or strategies that you can do with kids at each phase of that instructional level. And there were some really good ones in here, and I was going to pull them out and make like a top 10 list, and I kept adding to it and adding to it, and I finally just decided I just needed to make you the packet. So Carrie said it was 40 cents to make one of these packets, so I was like, okay, sold. So anyway, the website, if the website isn't on here, and I'll double check, like I said, I didn't think I was going to have it for today, so I wasn't fully prepared, but I want to go ahead and give it to you because it does have some really good strategies in it. If the website's not on here, I will include it in the Monday memo tonight. But I want to make sure that you have that because there are a few things in here that are links. So I want to send it to you electronically too. One thing that I noticed that it references a whole lot is Kagan. So if you are trying to think of ways to kind of raise the level of engagement in your classroom, Kagan, the stuff that we did last year with Kagan would be a good place to start as far as thinking about one or two strategies that you could implement to kind of increase engagement. But there are a ton more for each level of that gradual release process in here. So I'm going to hand these out. Way back. 4, 5. How many people are back there, Kim? At your table?
I
gave Lori one.
I gave Lori one already.
So you need one too.
So we're all good.
Yeah.
And I got one for Courtney.
Let's give these two right here.
One, 2, 3. This black binder was somewhere. I would just put it in the very back. Is Rita Absher here? No, she's out. Okay, last thing, I've learned really quickly that I probably shouldn't have duty on the faculty meeting days because nothing is ready up here when you all get here. This is the sign-in sheet. Please make sure that you sign this before you leave today. I'm going to start it here and send it around.
You want to go about the word duty?
All right. Hey, Jim. You can be done. Okay. Heather is going to share some test scores with you for just a couple of minutes, and then Jeff's going to wrap up with the final mission and vision work, and that will be it for today.
Okay, first of all, Jenny, I have to get this straight, so close your eyes while I work on trying to get this moving. It always makes Jenny sick when we're in the classroom together and I cannot get that right. Okay, so last week we celebrated being a proficient school for the first time ever, and we hit our goal right on the mark. By the skin of our teeth. Our goal was 67.9 and we finished at 67.9. We unofficially shared our calculator scores at data retreat, but since the scores have been released, we were able to get into our school report card, and any of y'all can view the school report card, and we could see not just our scores, but everybody's scores, and we could see our subpopulation scores. So there's a lot of data on these next few pages, and I'm not going to share everything whole group. We're gonna look at pieces of the data today, just briefly. And then we'll look at the reading and math data as we have ELA and math PLCs over the next couple of months. So the highlighted part, some of my notes are on here, sorry that it's kind of messy. So I highlighted in the top table there, NES. We reached our goal of 67.9, like I said, so we increased 0.5%, which that's all we needed. That's exactly what we did, 0.5%. And if you want to just look at this chart, it does compare us to the other schools. For achievement, which is just the actual written and multiple choice test, we were at 69.5, which put us third in the district. And then our gap was 44.1, which put us third, right in the middle in the district for elementaries. And then our growth goal was fourth in the district. And when you average those three, I didn't highlight that part, but that next column that says next gen, that's the average of those three scores, which puts us at 58.3. And then you add in our program review, and that gives us our score of 67.9. And there were some, on the school report card, there are some TEL questions on there, survey questions, results. And TEL is the survey that we take on school leadership. So this would have been during Karen's tenure. But we thought it was nice to note that you all thought that leadership was at 95%, which was really great. And then if you look at, and we'll look, like I said, more closely at during ELA and math PLCs at each grade level, your contribution to our overall scores for reading and math. Something else that we disaggregated through the report card are the subpopulations. And I am not gonna lie, that was not something I ever looked at closely until this year, when the report cards were updated, once scores were released. So our subpopulations, those are all the populations that make up our gap. And Sarah and I went through, actually, over the weekend, I was emailing her about yikes, and she was emailing back, okay, and then we emailed, yay, look at this one. So, you know, some successes and some areas of growth. For reading, what this table shows is the percentage of students who scored at each performance level. And I also noted in parentheses the number of students who tested, so this is 3rd through 5th. And whether or not we met our delivery target for last school year. Delivery target is percent of proficient distinguished. In order to incrementally get us to proficient distinguished, they set goals for our gap students, our subpopulations, and then our target goal, what we actually scored, and whether or not we hit it. And unfortunately, we don't have a whole lot of yeses. The yeses that we have are limited English proficiency students. Those are the students who still receive services through our ELL, through Kathy and her assistant. So their goal, their delivery target was actually 19%, and they hit 34%. So that was really exciting. That was really, really exciting. These are the kids who've not been released yet. They are currently receiving services. And then in reading, this is reading again, and then in reading, our special ed, their delivery target was 30.6, and they hit 31.6. So the reading special ed kids last year actually exceeded their goal as well. So that was really exciting too. This stood out a lot to Sarah and I for reading. Although we only had 12 African American students test last year, their delivery target goal was 47.5, and only 18.2% were proficient distinguished. And although it was only 12, and you think, well, that's not like a big group of students, it's still pretty scary that over 80% were either novice or apprentice. So that's probably going to become somewhat of a focus area this year, and we'll talk more about that in our ELA and math and ELA meetings.
Oh, and Heather, let me just say too.
I didn't even know you.
That's okay. I sat down so people could see over me. I noticed today when we were doing the walkthroughs that we have from here that we have several of our African American students in our high groups right now, particularly in 4th grade. So I feel like we need to really target those students and figure out did they just not work to their potential, or do we have some learning needs because, you know, clearly we have some students that have more potential than what they're showing if they're in a high level group, and the kids that are raising their hand answering questions even within that group, surely we could maybe at least push to where we would have more than 16% of them at proficiency.
So, something else to point out, we had 294 students test, and 196 of them are free reduced lunch. So that's 2/3 of our population that are GAP. And so, you know, if we can really tighten down just core for reading, core for math, that what every kid gets, we can just really streamline and fine tune and focus in on what we think will make a difference for these kids, we'll hit a big, big part of our population that way. But we also just can't ignore some of this other data and figure out what are we doing, what have we done, and what are some new things we want to try. I know special ed, for our GAP goal, we chose special ed, and we're going to do a lot more intentional vocabulary work. But we'll probably be sharing that out during ELA and math meetings also, just to kind of share the wealth and the new knowledge we have for that. When you look at math, and this chart's actually divided, so I'll have to flip back and forth. When you look at math, we didn't highlight any areas for math because nobody met their goal, unfortunately, for math. I don't know how well y'all can see that. Is it bad? Oh, just turn it back.
Okay, so if you want me to write a note and send it to
There you go.
Okay, let me see now. Nobody hit the area for math, so we didn't highlight any yeses. Again, same number of students tested for each group. When you look at the African American section on this, although they didn't meet their goal, it wasn't quite as low at 27.3 as the actual PD score for reading, but it's still significantly lower than the target. So again, just another piece of data as we refine some things that we want to do. Our Hispanic population is actually, look how close they were.
Yeah.
3/10.
And there's several that are pretty close. Like, you know, the math, they seem to not be as big of gaps.
Yeah.
In
Definitely.
several. So.
And then this is just our combined reading and math. So it's still talking about subpopulations, but it's the combined scores. Whether or not we hit the learning targets or the delivery targets, and our only area that did, using our combined data, was the limited English proficiency, which is really exciting because they blew that out of the water, which is wonderful.
I've got a few other little pieces of data that I forgot to bring up. We did look, we went through and pulled free and reduced percentages of the number of tested students, because you can't really look at your school free and reduced when you're looking at tested, or when you're looking at just K-Prep data. So we do still have the highest, by several percentage points, free and reduced percentage in the district, even when we're looking at our tested grades. And so I think that's a huge shout out to think that we have the highest free and reduced population, and we didn't have the lowest scores. So
Proficient.
yeah, so that was really good news. And it's not, there's not a huge gap between us and the ones that are right near us, but there is a huge gap between us and the schools that have the very lowest free and reduced population in the district. So when we're looking at data, not that we want to ever use that as excuse, but it is just another piece of information. The other thing I looked at today was how grade levels did on MAP in reading and math in comparison to how they did on K-Prep, and we'll share that. And you know, we did that with individual kids at Data Retreat, but we didn't really look as grade level. And so I pulled that proficiency data from the end of last year and compared that with K-Prep. So we'll be able to share that with you at ELA meetings as well for your grade level, just in kind of looking as a grade level, did our kids do better last year on MAP, or did they do better on K-Prep, or how as a grade level did they align, just so that we can kind of make some, I don't know, pull some information from that data as well. So
I think we're at a really good place because with us creating a new mission and vision with Jeff, we really get to pinpoint on what's most important to us here. And what are the things that we're doing now that we think are going to be the game changers for kids, and those can be reflected in our vision. And what are the things that we feel like probably just have kind of worn out their welcome and they're not as effective as they used to be, and kind of start to peel those away and then implement things that we know are happening in other places. Like Jeff says, best practice is best practice. So just kind of tightening up all of our best practices. I'm really excited, a little overwhelmed, but really excited to start some new things. Not really new, but to improve things we're already doing. We've talked to grade levels about ERQs, and I found some really good resources on all aspects of ERQ and written response in general. So we're going to start doing that work in ELA PLCs as well, so that we can get better at writing those questions. We can get better at teaching the students how to answer them, but then we can get better at analyzing the students' responses, not just for a score, but just to figure out, okay, where's the disconnect. So we have things like that in the works that we'll be building into PLCs as things we're already doing, but let's just make them better so that we can continue our upward progress.
Yes, that's the only scary part, I guess, well, they're not the only. That's the biggest scary part about having that proficient progressing label is that now if we go down, well, and especially with our score being right on, if we slip at all, then we're going to be back where we were. And so we just want to do everything we can to try to keep that score where it is. And so you can't work any harder than you already do. So we've got to figure out what the most important things are and what we need to focus on as far as that goes. So
I feel like our data retreat was just unbelievably successful, and lots of good conversations, lots of good solutions that came from you all, so that you all know what you're ready to handle, what you're ready to move on and try and do. And I think that makes a difference in feeling like it's just one more thing. It's just we're all kind of deciding together what's the next step for our kids, because like we've said, the end all be all shouldn't be K-Prep. It should be making them ready for life. But we're measured by K-Prep, so it'd be great if we could just make them life ready and bonus our K-Prep scores rock.
it sure is fun to have that P beside our name.
It really was, and it was a P progressing.
Yeah,
so
P
because we're
progressing.
moving on up, we didn't slip back. So that's where we stay.
Okay.
I'm gonna get Jeff all set up here while he razzles and dazzles you with some
I don't know about razzling and
impromptu
dazzling.
Watch
stand-up
that cord.
comedy, so that I can.
Can you fix it?
Okay, with these sheets, you just need to have one that you can see. So even if you don't have, I don't think I made enough for everybody. He said just to have a few. You guys don't have
Does
much.
anyone need any? We can share.
We can share from here.
Anybody's not, you have to sign it. Me.
Well, you want
What's a song I don't know?
Okay, can everybody see one of these?
thinking.
See it, hold it, touch it.
Stop it.
Do you need to hear me say that?
Okay. Good afternoon. The last time we were together was prior to the start of the school year. Each of you worked collectively in a group to develop your first draft of your mission statement representing your group. I asked you to go back to look at everyone else's and to create a second draft, which is what you have today. So what I did was I took the key words from the 5 first draft mission statements and created the anchor graphic. So the highlighted words are the words that were repeated more times than the smaller words. So again, this is just the first draft. Today we're going to work until we have the final mission statement for Nicholasville Elementary. So most of today is not a presentation at all. It's simply continued work time. You now have the 5 second draft statements in front of you. What I want you to do now is to go through, look at them, highlight those keywords that you see repeating, and come up with one final piece, one final mission statement from your group. Then we're going to put it on the computer and we're going to create and wordsmith that final mission statement. Once we have that piece, then we'll launch into the vision statement, moving us then to goals and commitments, finishing up this process. Hopefully we'll be finished up with the process by Thanksgiving. Don't want to do too much at one time, just give you plenty of time. Fall break is marking the end of the first 9 weeks, So by Thanksgiving, looks like a perfect deadline. So, Sarah, if you don't care, will you go to just escape out of there and go to the minimized statement, the Word document there on the bottom?
Yeah, we got it.
All right, here they are.
So we're ready.
So, okay.
This is what we did the last time, so is this the one you're talking about with the words highlighted or bolded?
Yes.
Because we met in our groups last time.
All right, so right here it's second draft. So let's take a look at the second
Yeah.
draft. Let's take a look at the second draft. So we're ready to go ahead and just start
We're ready
drafting.
to start.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
So it's okay, just pop up a new document.
Always ahead of the game.
Always.
That's progressing proficient right there. Say.
I pretty much love it.
Anytime you do it, let me just do it over here.
We're gonna see it.
File new.
Well, that's what I was trying.
It's down, yeah.
This is Mac.
All
All
right,
right, Jeff.
here we go.
Did I do something wrong?
There you go.
Something wrong?
The mission of Nicholasville Elementary School is to,
They all have provide.
Well, two people started it differently than that. It is our mission.
I like the mission of, oh, I'm not supposed to have a choice. Eh.
It is our mission does show possession.
Did you hear what she said?
Yeah, if we say it's our mission, I feel like we have a stake in it. Like,
Sorry, I'm
we
bouncing.
really do, but-
She was saying that by saying it is our mission, it sounds like we have more ownership than just the mission.
Oh.
That's the
okay, so the way
reason.
this will work is the loudest voice is what we will type. So,
It
is our mission
So there's lots of
How to
little
start.
individual tiny quiet conversations, so the loudest voice is what we hear and what we try.
Okay, do we want our mission or the mission of? Hands up if
It
you
is
want.
our mission.
Our mission.
Okay, mission of?
No.
Yeah.
It is our
It
mission.
is our
at-
mission or the mission of.
They already said our mission.
It is
At.
our mission at
At.
Nicholasville Elementary.
I'm glad I'm not you typing. Let me just say that. We're all providing to provide.
Which one? That's ours. Let's have a vote. Who likes
Let's go with number 5. Seems a little bit
Okay, let's
problem.
start reading five. We'll start bringing it up here.
Okay, to provide a positive, student-centered learning environment.
Somebody wants safe in it.
Positive, student-centered, and safe. Yep, there you go.
How about positive, safe, student-centered? It sounds better, I think, to have than.
Oh, there's a lot of extra.
Safe.
Oh, no, Colin, safe first, let's go with the word safe, positive, student-centered, that sounds better, flows better.
Can we put and student-centered?
Yes.
Yes.
Learning environment.
Now, we have.
A lot of people said empowered.
I like that. Individual. I like community environment.
When you see it pop up here, let me know if it's supposed to be there or not.
I like community instead of environment.
Ooh.
I like.
Sarah?
Yes. I'm just agreeing with the staff.
Learning
Family.
Empowers individual.
I like this individual.
Individual
Are we
excellence.
empowered?
Individual excellence.
Empowering? Oh, we got it.
I think
Now,
the
we
students
said
are
all
being
learners to
Empowered though, I
achieve.
think it needs to be empowers students to achieve individual excellence.
That's what we put all
Empower, yeah.
learners to achieve individual.
Yeah, to achieve individual excellence.
Let's put, after empowers, let's put all.
Empowers all students to achieve individual
In
excellence
front of students.
All students.
through
Collaboration.
through collaboration. Comma.
I like it. Enthusiasm for lifelong learning before you finish.
Critical thinking.
Communication.
Somebody take control of the group.
To
Jeff,
Critical thinking.
They're just following the rule of the loudest person is the one that gets hurt.
That's what Jeff said.
Well, I don't like that then, because you left out the lifelong learning. You need to put that in there.
You have to be fat, you have to be
We just need another through statement after that.
We had decided to break them up because when
when
we put 21st century skills, we
Nobody.
didn't think parents would really understand what that meant, and so
Yeah.
we took them and broke them up, and so that's why
Into
Group
the
4 had
four.
it as a list.
Those are the things that make up those.
Yeah, so it makes it wordy, but it also makes it so that people understand what we're talking about.
Which one are
with
you
the
on?
21st
Which one are you
century.
Four.
Collaboration, critical thinking.
say what you think about this. I'm going with
That was your
Rachel's.
thought.
communication.
Rachel's feedback there.
Well, that
Take
can
it,
go,
like it, leave it.
take that with what 5 says and say through that. Wait, well, go ahead and finish what you got.
It is our mission.
Write out what you're thinking.
You just hand it to her.
Michelle, you are so good at helping people organize their
Communication and creativity.
And
My head is a jumble unless I'm in your room.
Ready for a new statement?
Through a positive relationship between school, family, and community.
Megan was saying
Collaborative.
that
We're
has
gonna
to
go
reach
pause.
twice.
Well, and this is where we're gonna have to
We are-
just
Too many positive.
we said positive and we said
and empower too, so we don't want to empower twice.
What if we put with a collaborative relationship between school, family, and community, comma? We will ensure students. I'm looking at
Group
5.
1 has by establishing relationships.
Instead of saying through a collaborative relationship, we could say.
has by
Okay,
by establishing.
Here.
By establishing a collaborative relationship between
No.
school.
No.
That's down below.
Got it.
The loudest
Well,
no.
went right here. Through.
Okay.
Down there.
Establishing a relationship.
Oh yeah, we do have establishing relationships. I'm looking at group 1 by establishing relationships between school, comma, family, comma, and community, comma, we will empower all learners.
No,
can't
we
use
will
empower.
ensure,
Ensure all
we
learners.
will ensure all learners
Will become productive citizens.
of the 21st century.
Go back to the 21st century.
Productive.
Will become productive in the 21st century world.
Productive citizens.
But we want this to be good into other centuries.
What
Yeah,
if we
we're
just
gonna
put
have to change the
infinity and beyond? Let's just add that to the end.
Of a 21st century world.
Yeah, but we said empower above. Maybe we switch.
If they're still doing things a century from now, the way they're doing them now, we
This
can.
is 22nd century.
And strong.
Okay, so we need to change citizens because they may not all be citizens. We're talking to Kathy about that's a hot topic.
Well, but that's not, they are citizens of
They're
that.
the citizens of
They
the
are
world.
citizens of the 21st century world. They are citizens of the world.
Being a citizen.
That has nothing
It's not
to,
like the,
I like
not
that.
like
it doesn't say United States of America.
I think it needs to be.
Yes, it's a world.
No, never mind.
I have an idea. I don't mean to, throw a chink in everybody's chain. But what if we switch out empowers and ensure and switch them? To end with empowering might be a little bit stronger.
ensure, okay, but then it needs to be ensure all students achieve.
A
Take the 2 out.
Well, learning community that ensures all students achieve. Yeah,
Yeah.
take that too.
Take the 2 out.
Because we can't really ensure that they'll be productive citizens, but we can empower them to be equipped to be productive
I
citizens.
like it.
I like it. I like the
We
kink.
ensure all students will achieve them.
Yeah, because that can be
And
very
strong.
different.
Yeah.
You will this.
We give you the power.
We got the power. What if we did this instead of ensure or something, or what if we said equips? Because we can't necessarily ensure that they'll achieve individual, I mean.
But you're saying equips all students
How do you equip them
to
to
achieve.
achieve? Yeah, and then it has to be, you have to put the 2 back.
Take the ensures out.
But switch equips all students to
So you're
achieve.
trying to relieve your, responsibility.
She's equipping, she's not ensuring.
I didn't say I was sure, I just.
We will empower all learners to become.
Being realistic.
Sorry, missing
That
a
has
word in my brain.
We will empower all learners.
Edit undo.
Will become.
Realism has no.
Go right, yeah.
Speak up, Michelle.
I like members of society down from the bottom.
Anybody else?
Second.
I do
Because
too.
didn't they list, aren't those the 21st century
Yes.
things anyways?
Ooh, I like that, yeah.
Okay, you can't equip all students to achieve. You can equip them to achieve the skills.
But we're.
But it's
we're achieving
individual
individual
excellence.
Achieve individual excellence.
At their level. You can equip them better than you can ensure.
Equip them with the skills to achieve.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. Because it sounds funny.
I get really excited when people add things.
Strategies.
I like that.
Teresa's not even really paying attention.
I get really invested in everything I hear.
With skills to achieve or the skills?
I think it's
I like skills
That's
to
what
achieve.
That's what they're saying. Is it skills or the?
Safe, positive things that are learning.
Yes.
I think so. I like it.
That controversy.
Yeah.
All right, take a look.
I know, I was gonna ask you the same.
Can someone with a loud voice read it to us?
Teresa, will you please?
I said, will someone with a loud voice read it? And he pointed to Teresa.
It is our mission at Nicholasville Elementary School to provide a safe, positive, and student-centered learning community that equips all students with the skills to achieve individual excellence through collaboration, critical thinking, communication, and creativity. By establishing relationships between school, family, and community, we will empower all learners to become productive members of society.
Nicely done.
I love it.
And a mission is born.
You could have done a little dramatic reading though.
Act it out.
Are we all on board? We gonna do it?
Can we live with this? Does
Yes.
it
We
reflect,
can't only live, we can thrive.
does it reflect who you are as a school?
What did she just say?
I said we can't only
She's
live.
making her own mission statement over here.
We're just Thrive Fit.
Thriving members of society.
Thriving, productive members.
Sarah.
Rachel.
No, I think that's a good point. The community is in there twice. Can we, what do
Oh,
you
yeah.
all think about the first community going back to environment?
Student-centered
So that
learning.
we're-
I'd be okay with
Depends
that.
on what you're wanting.
Student-centered environment. Makes sense.
Like the first
It works.
community
That one.
environment.
I like that.
And they're both referring to different things.
Yeah.
Collaborating, yeah, the way it was is like it's
I'm so glad to see positive in there. I feel like some of the big things that we talked about this summer are really embedded in here, like the positive, we've been talking a lot in our discipline, stuff about safety and keeping our adults and our kids safe. And the community relations and family involvement. Is there anything that we think is a really big deal for us that is not mentioned in here? I think about nurture. I guess that's. I feel like we have to do so much, but.
Well, safe
Think
and
that's
positive
positive.
kind of covers.
Could we say it is our mission at Nicholasville Elementary to engage students in a safe, positive, student-centered learning environment? And then we could get that
I
one.
do like engage. Good fit.
Is it your mission to engage them, or is it your mission to provide them?
Yeah.
Safe, positive.
Jeff, where does the vision, is it like, what's the difference again between the mission and the vision?
We're gonna talk about that as soon as we finish the wordsmithing piece.
So like,
It's this is where we are. This is where we want to go. Our vision really is where we are. We envision a future that this occurs. It's just vice versa. This is where we are. Where do we want to go is the vision. And it's many less words.
So with
It's our
this,
tagline.
this is like
We want
everything
to be
that we, and
distinguished.
all of our decisions, actions we take should all support this, right?
This is the vision. This is the mission. This is why you exist. We're going to be looking at the vision, which is where do we want to go. We envision a future that blank. Then you're going to do a list of commitments. What do we commit to as a faculty to accomplish both the mission and the vision, and then we'll establish a set of 3 or 4 goals that we remain focused on all year long. And we already have a lot of those goals just by virtue of our own accountability system, so we don't have to create those goals. We look at gap goals, we look at novice reduction goals, we look at achievement goals, we look at different kinds of goals according to K-Prep. So that's the big process. The commitment is a little bit more tedious than this was because it's what we must hold one another accountable to.
I know you make this. It's one of the reasons we're doing it.
We're just talking about what our vision is right now.
We kind of have 2 different things that are used like as taglines. Want to like.
Okay, well, look, go ahead and open up that conversation there. Just to get it out on the table, because we're really not going to do anything with vision today.
Well, are we done with this? Do we?
Yes.
Brent?
Done.
Brent.
I love it.
Save
Yeah.
first. This is the Proficient NES in our mission.
I'm saving it as NES mission. Okay.
Yes.
Final.
Final.
Yes. Yeah. Cindy just asked, what did Karen think about our scores? And I haven't talked to you all about that. Of course, she is thrilled. She's
end on that note.
Yes. It was a really good, fun thing to call and get to talk to her about. So.
Go to the PowerPoint. There should be 2 open there.
I like that anchor.
Down below.
I'm trying, Josh.
No,
Right there.
Graphs. More where we are.
Oh.
Go to Chrome. Yeah. All right.
To the top or starting here?
Just right there. If you'll just click
Yeah.
the present button at the top.
Over to the right.
All right. So as we start, vision creates direction. It's the means where through which we achieve the mission. It's described as a realistic, credible, attractive future condition that's better in some important ways than what we currently have now. A vision is a target that beckons. What do we want our school to become? So when we look at the cultural shift between vision, we have traditional schools which generally include average opinions, some wish lists. A lot of times the vision is ignored. It's dictated and developed by a few. That's the difference between leadership vision and missioning and shared mission and visioning. Versus a professional learning community that we talked about last time, research-based, credible and focused on the essentials. It's your blueprint for improvement, widely shared with collaboration. So, as we prepare for next time, we're not going to do any of this, you're going to have to go deeper into your current data regarding student achievement, breaking it down by grade level, looking at the novice, looking at the apprentice, proficient, distinguished. Painting a picture. In order to determine the direction we take, we have to know where we currently stand. And the most important pieces of information here is the school assessment data. And so next time we will begin developing the vision statements. We'll take a look at several vision statements. Generally, they're very concise. It's the part that we remember. We generally won't remember the mission statement because it is very detailed, but we will always remember our vision statement. That's generally what we communicate on a regular basis. So that date has not been set. I'll just wait for Sarah to give me the next date for the visioning. The visioning won't take very long at all. It's the commitments that will take a little bit longer. And then the goals are going to be the goals. Questions about mission and vision? You did a great job. 2 sessions, about an hour and a half. Great work. And I think it's an accurate reflection of really where you are now.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Good?
Good.
Okay, just
Thank
a
you.
couple more things real quickly, and then we're gonna get to leave early. first of all, the assembly on Friday. So we're gonna try this. I don't really know how well it will or won't work as far as doing an 8:15 assembly. So as soon as we finish with announcements, like I'm just gonna.
Are they on the TV still?
I don't know. We may.
Okay.
You think it'd be better if we did them?
I think it was.
Okay.
The intercom.
Yeah.
It'd be a lot better for me. So if you guys are good with that, that's what we'll do. Okay. So we'll do.
Will the golf stuff be gone?
No, it will not be gone. Sorry. I think we
Okay.
can move some stuff.
Yeah, we'll have to
Around.
because the classes that are win get to sit on the floor.
Okay.
So we'll figure it out. Okay, so we'll do the announcements on the intercom, and then I'll just, as the last announcement, just start dismissing the first grade level. We're gonna try really hard to just do it short, quick. Second grade, if your specials teachers can be in charge, so if it runs into your planning, you could even just take them down, and then the specials teachers maybe meet you in the gym. That's what we typically do for other grade levels that have it during their specials. One of the main reasons that we're going to do it, well, there's two reasons. One, the goat kids come early in the morning, and the whole thing is kind of centered around the goat. And then the goat, yes. And then the second reason is the guy from West High. The West High people are coming with the T-shirts, so it was easier for Scott and Mark and the goat to come first thing in the morning. So.
How are we gonna distribute those? Are we gonna send a box?
Yeah,
T-shirt gun.
We're not handing these T-shirts out with the T-shirt gun, but we are working on a T-shirt gun for some other things.
At the end of the day,
That is.
Right, yeah. 3 o'clock.
You'll have to give me that highlighter of yours.
Okay, so
Thank you.